Yeah, it's your easy boy, easy in the hour, dude. EZILLA99, bro. I don't know where I was going with that. Um, Yo, guys, episode 6 of the EZILLA99 podcast. Yes, it is already on our 6th episode for the new year, actually. So that's something really cool to think about. Um, yeah, uh, pretty much the year is starting off. It's going pretty good. I all things considered. Um, yeah, I was very much looking forward to this month. A lot of things came out this month, obviously. I got to see some films that really just were pretty cool. Got to see Shin Ultraman, of course. I did a full review on that. But yeah, I really love that movie. There was also this other movie I watched, just like sort of just something to watch, just because I'm not gonna lie, I was already planning on watching this specific film, but I after hearing this one YouTuber, this one YouTuber that I'm sure you guys probably know the name of, Moist Critical, or Penguin ZO, but yeah, I saw his review on this film and I thought, fuck it, and it was Megan basically, or Mithrigan. But yeah, surprisingly, um, not bad, but also not good either. Like it was like in the middle of like good and bad. But yeah, I would say that the whole premise of that one was something. So you know, yeah, I honestly, when it comes down to it, bro, this is the month, bro. When it comes to just bunch of random movies just come to die, basically. I mean, that's basically what January is for most movies. Like any movie that's on January, that's gonna be releasing on January, it doesn't really it's usually where movies go to die. Essentially, that's basically the whole sort of quote of it. Um, I bring up January specifically because of one certain film that I always go back on occasionally. I never really thought of making a full discussion on the film, but I just want to talk about it because of nostalgia and stuff. Because this film really was something to me at the time, and it was pretty damn crazy. And obviously, I'm talking about Cloverfield. Now, Cloverfield, the film itself released on January 16th, so in 2008. So yeah, the film is pretty old. Yeah, I always tried to make sure to watch it on January 16th because that's when it released. And yeah, I always just am just amazed by just how the film is in general, and I still, even to this day, like I still kind of feel that the film still kind of holds up to its whole CGI and its whole angle and stuff. Yeah, I mean, just Cloverfield in general is just a really fun movie. I really love it, and the nostalgic sort of impact it had on me as a kid when I watched it and back then, it was something, man. Like I like obviously the promotional stuff for the film. It was kind of just random clips here and there. It was like a very much different way of like bringing the film to life and all that. Because that's the thing, the film itself, Cloverfield, is a found footage film. It's basically that. Um, but yeah, I never, like, this was, in terms of just like found footage films. Like obviously, there's the Blair Witch Project, which a film that I also watched, but this was my very first like found footage film that I've ever seen. Like Cloverfield was that very first one, and back when I was like around, I think I was 7 or 8. Probably, yeah, I was probably 8, I think. Um, it was just so much, so much indulgence with it, and it really just impacted me a lot. And I honestly thought that there were monsters living among us. And I was just so just like it was really just it really was very well made. Like it was very convincing, you know? Like you know, it was just really crazy, man. The film itself, you know, I still believe it kind of holds up. I really love the monster, of course. Cloverfield. Um, the Cloverfield monster is essentially just that, man. The design, I love the design. I love the look of it, the story behind it. There is so much lore of the Cloverfield monster. It is insane. Um, but yeah, I mean, like when it comes down to it, just the Cloverfield in general is just really awesome. Like, obviously, I'm not over here trying to review the movie itself, but like, cause I'm sure many of you guys have probably seen the film at this point, and if you haven't, then please watch it. I really recommend it. It's a really, it gets kind. I mean, it gets like it kind of gets like quiet and all that, but like it ends up going like over 9,000 real quick. You know what I mean? Like, because that's the thing with the film is, it's kind of just like a found footage film. It's not really something that is gonna be right on your face, obviously. But yeah, honestly, when it comes down to it, like there are so much things going on in that film. A lot of things happen, and it's really just awesome all around. So, but yeah, honestly, I do very much recommend it to you guys. If you guys haven't seen the film, I really recommend it. Um, Also, another thing that I also want to talk about is is I really, because this is another thing that I found really nostalgic about Cloverfield is that like on YouTube, like early YouTube, bro. I'm talking like early 2008, 2009, 2010 YouTube. There were so many videos of like trying to convince the fact that Cloverfield did exist, which again, going back to what I was go back to the impact of on me. Again, I thought these were real. I thought Cloverfield was a legit monster that lived like that. Like this whole thing happened. That's how convincing it was. And then again, at the same time, I was very young. I was a kid that pretty much just kind of sees something like this, like seeing something like this as a kid. It really just like really frightened me, basically. I was like, what the heck? We have a monster living among us. But yeah, obviously the YouTube videos didn't really help because there are so many like people trying to like claim like, oh, Cloverfield found footage, real tape, caught on tape, and this and that, and it's just like, oh man, I really just find that really nostalgic, looking back. Like I actually did look back on some of the videos that actually like were the ones that convinced me at the time. And like I was just like, man, like they're just like all they do like is just point the camera and zoom in, and obviously the quality of the video isn't good, and they just close in on a dark little shadowy part, and they just add in like the Cloverfield war, and that's it. And they just run away and to make it seem like it's legit and all that. And we're and what sucks is that when I was younger, that actually convinced me. So I was just like, bro, what the heck? And like looking back on it now as an adult, I'm just like, oh, what? But honestly, when it comes down to it, man, just all those, and also we cannot forget the classic videos of just like trying to like look into like the clouds here, because there's this one video where like it had like a blue screen and white text on it, and you could just hear the music of Requiem. Not Godzilla versus Destroyer Requiem, by the way. Not that. A different soundtrack called Requiem. I don't know what track is that from, but I'm sure you guys have. I'm sure you guys know what song or what track I'm talking about. It's that track specifically playing over it, and it's like it goes hard, not gonna lie. It really just makes you just like, holy crap. And it's like when the person making the video like finds out that in the clouds you could see Cloverfield's face supposedly. It just like 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 the track just goes hard and all that. I don't know. I remember seeing that. I was just like, man, oh my gosh. Like this guy is just like, oh crap, look at this. Cloverfield's in the clouds. Like, oh my god. But yeah, I mean, honestly, when like that's the thing with Cloverfield, man, is just the fact of it being like just really just well known. At least to me, I personally just really love monster movies like this, man. These are just the best type of monster movies, man. Obviously, when it comes to just movie monsters in general, dude, it's King Kong, Cloverfield, and there's like so many countless monsters, man. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, dude. Them freaking. Oh, there are so many awesome movie monsters, man, and Cloverfield is on that list for me, dude. He is just really badass, man. The monster design, the film itself, I love it. Um, it also very much surprised me that that the fact that the director actually, he pretty much just kind of just continued on the story. Actually, wasn't really a huge fan of the whole concept of it, of the idea of just being just a regular film and not a found footage film. Like I'm so used to Cloverfield being like a found footage film that like seeing these was just kind of just weird to me, like just a regular film and this and that. But rewatching some of these other films like 10 Cloverfield Lane and the Cloverfield Paradox, just all those films right there. Rewatched them and I thought they were decent, I guess. There are some cases where like some of my favorite films end up becoming like a franchise. One such example, Pacific Rim. But the only difference here is that Pacific Rim didn't really need a franchise. It didn't need sequels, in my opinion. I feel like because here's the thing about Guillermo del Toro, like he makes these films to just be just on its own. He doesn't make them with the intent of making like a franchise of it. And Pacific Rim just kind of didn't really need sequels, really. I didn't really need any other explanations on the aliens, or we didn't really need any other monsters to appear. They closed the breach and that's it. And I don't know, it's just, I just kind of feel like there was just no need for any other sequels. But now I'm going off tangent, I'm sorry. But going back to Cloverfield, um, I'm kind of giving an example here, but with Cloverfield, however, it actually is decent, I guess. Like I say this is okay. The fact that we got to sort of expand on the lore of Cloverfield, I guess. Because again, like we don't know too much about Cloverfield. All we know is that he was like a monster that just sort of showed up out of nowhere. So like obviously with these other two films, we kind of needed. I guess it was like in some ways we needed like an explanation, I guess. But I don't know. I this like I guess when it comes to me, when I see monster movies, like I accept the reality. I accept the world that we're living in. And like with Cloverfield, it's like at the time, before the whole announcement of 10th Cloverfield Lane and the other films, I pretty much accepted the fact that Cloverfield will just be a mystery monster to me. He'll be an unknown monster with not a lot of things to it, and I like that. I like that at the time, and I still do. Um, but obviously, with the other films, they kind of expanded on the lore, and yeah, it turns out he's like a terrestrial organic monster. So it was like a whole thing and all that. Um, but yeah, I honestly found it to be really cool that the fact that the director himself is pretty much still going on with the monster. Like it almost kind of feels like the Ghostface character from Scream, because here's an example. Because here's the thing. Because like well, what I mean by that is that because back in back in the early 2000s, they were always making fun of like horror movies, making fun of the tropes of like horror movies, like Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Leatherface, just those types of like horror movie killers, those the horror movie genre. Like those types of like tropes, they made fun of them. And Ghostface from Scream pretty much, kind of revived that genre basically back in the early 2000s. It was pretty much a very much innovative thing. And speaking of Scream, I'm very much looking forward to that film, by the way. That one's gonna be probably enjoyable. I mean, I enjoyed the last one that they did. It was all right. But yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is that I feel like Cloverfield kind of fits that kind of style of Ghostface, essentially, where he fits that kind of like role of like being the one that kind of revived sort of the genre of giant monsters, essentially. Like, because back then, because even back then, people made fun of, like, Godzilla, they made fun of King Kong, they made fun of like just the giant monster tropes and all that. And obviously Cloverfield kind of, I feel, kind of revived that sort of aspect of it, where like it made it popular again. So it's nice to see that even to this day, like, the director still plans on making sequels here and there. So also, another thing that I want to talk about is, oh my gosh, man, the merchandising, the toys of Cloverfield. Oh my gosh, look at this, guys. Look at this. Just look at this. This is my holy grail, ladies and gentlemen. This this is my holy grail right here. This is probably like the one figure is like just I like, it's just so cool. I don't know. This figure is just really badass. Like, like there are a few people out there that have this figure already. One such famous example is Monster Island Buddies, who has this figure. Lucky him. But yeah, honestly, this is a figure I would love to have. Honestly, this is really cool. I used to see this a lot in some videos and this and that. I saw it, like, there's this one tour review that I saw, and he sized it up next to the Bandai Creations Godzilla Final Wars. And even that time, like, even like, at the time, that was like the only big Godzilla figure at the time. And so seeing that figure next to this, it was something. It was really cool. Speaking of Cloverfield, when it came to Cloverfield Paradox, I remember watching the film and like just bringing back so many memories at the time when the film was still new. I very much like the concept of it. Like, it honestly kind of feels like something from like the 80s and all that, like 80s sci-fi and all that. Like, it kind of gave off that vibe. But honestly, when it came down to it, though, it was really intense at the ending part, man. Like, the ending part was so crazy, man. Like, if you guys have not seen this film, man, like, I'm about to spoil it, dude. Like, at the ending, bro, the ending was so freaking awesome. I loved every second that it appeared. And basically, the Cloverfield monster was enormous. The Cloverfield monster appeared roaring, and it was enormous. Like, holy crap, it was so huge. And it roared. He did his massive roar and this and that. Like, it was so freaking sick. I was just surprised and just in awe when it came to that shot, dude. That was so cool. And another thing too is that what's really cool is that it kind of links with the first film, actually, because the ship right there that was falling to Earth, it kind of makes sense with that one scene from the ending part of Cloverfield, where like you see something falling from the sky. And at the time, a lot of people thought that was the Cloverfield monster. They thought that was what was falling from the sky. But there are speculations now saying that the ship was falling from the sky and this and that. And I thought, like, holy crap, man! There's so much speculation. There's so much now to really speculate on this. But then again, at the same time, I feel like there isn't. Like, the ship falls down from the sky, from space, falls down to the ocean, and there it is. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really too much to speculate. Or probably some very hardcore Cloverfield fans out there might obviously be like, no, there's more to it. There's more to it. But yeah, obviously, as just like a casual movie monster guy like myself, I kind of just pretty much, yeah, that pretty much confirms it right there. But yeah, I mean, the reason why I bring that up is because the fact that apparently that one is actually the adult Cloverfield, and it pretty much just confirms it right there. Like, just visually looking at it, looking at the film at that final part, it was very much confirming to me, like I knew it like that. That is the adult Cloverfield monster. and the one from the 2008 film was very much a juvenile. So it was pretty much just confirmed right away right there. Which honestly surprised me. Because the fact that Kaiju News Outlet released a post, and I found it to be pretty like hilarious at the same time. Like, because you know, this kind of knowledge is pretty like well known at this point. Like it's like it's like pretty much saying like Godzilla, Godzilla has spines and breathes fire and breathes atomic breath. It's like we know that, you know? So it was very much funny. It was kind of funny seeing this right here. Cloverfield director Matt Reeves has confirmed that the film's monster Clover was just a baby alien that was terrified because it had been separated from its mother. And that was its source, the Sci-Fi Wire. And honestly, the comments, these first three comments right here pretty much just sum it up all around. This is nothing new. All new. They literally show the adult version in Paradox. Why would anyone still need confirmation? Like exactly, like no duh. No shit. Like pretty much it's right there, you know? Like we obviously don't really need confirmation. We already know the confirmation. It's common knowledge now. It's which I found it to be pretty weird that Kaiju News Outlet would bring something that's old. Maybe perhaps he just didn't. Maybe perhaps the person behind the account just wanted to post something on January 16th, even though according to this post, he posted it on January 18th, so he's kind of a few days late. But still, I don't get why I don't get that whole thing. Like it's common knowledge. Yeah, like it's very much common knowledge. Like if you guys out there didn't know that, then I don't know what to tell you. You're just stupid, I guess. um, nah, but in all seriousness, though, when it came down to it, just Cloverfield in general is one of just my many favorite films. Again, if you guys have not seen the film, oh my gosh, you guys have to see it. At the very least, the first film, just so you could get an idea of the whole thing. But yeah, honestly, when it came down to it, man, just Cloverfield having so much of an impact on me when I was younger. It really was. It was just crazy, man. Early YouTube back then was just wild, man. Speaking of early YouTube, um, I like to sometimes rewatch things that were from the early years and like just seeing what YouTube has become now. You know, it's very much grown so much. Um, Obviously, you know, this type of video that I'm going to be bringing up right now was something that I was just so much was so I was just dying, honestly, dying of laughter. This video was just so hilarious. Um obviously it's been confirmed that the whole thing was planned. The whole thing was a joke. Um Obviously I'll go more into it, but this video that I'm gonna be bringing up, I don't know if you guys have probably heard of this video, but the video title was called "Dad, I'm a Brony." Uh, it was like basically the whole video was of like just this big fat guy just in the right side of the corner, just yo, I'm a hit up my dad and tell him coming out of the closet. Like he just comes out of the closet just saying, "Yeah, go, dad, I'm a Brody," and his dad's just like, "What the hell is that?" And like I rewatched that clip not too long ago, and just even to this, like I even with the knowledge of it being faked and all that, I still found it so hilarious. Like just everything, the conversation and everything was just so funny. Um, I don't know. I just really thought like back then seeing it, man. It was just so wild with it, dude. It was there was so much to it. But yeah, this was obviously during the time when like cringe videos were at an all time high. There was so much cringe. You have no idea. Um, so much cringe being made. And yeah, I mean, like this was one of them, you know. And honestly, at the time, I thought this was legit, and at this time, I still did. But then, obviously, over time, you know, looking up on this, it was pretty much obvious that this whole thing was faked. Because apparently, from what the knowledge I have, from what I know, is that the person on the phone call that was talking to the guy on the right side of the corner, that's actually one of his friends that's just like talking to him and this and that. Um, but yeah, obviously they were all in on it. The whole thing was faked. But at the same time, it's like it was just so over the top, man, and it was just so crazy, man. There was so many quotable things in that whole video, man. It was insane. Um, it was just really funny, to be honest. It was really funny to me. We were watching it again, and it's just so crazy, man. It was wild with it. Um, but yeah, honestly, when it came down to it, dude, it's just like those types of content is just something that's funny to me, and it's very much cringe. It also kind of gives me like it gives me nostalgia, you know. Like I don't know if it does for you guys, but like for me it does because I grew up like in the early 2000s. You know, I was born in 1999. Um, but yeah, you know, seeing all these types of things, like we watching them back, and it's like, man, like it really does give you a lot of nostalgia and stuff like that. And like pretty much, and I guess in some cases, you know, this is something that's pretty much imprinted on me, I guess, in some ways. But but yeah, honestly, when it came down to it, that's what it pretty much is. You know, the nostalgic of it, of just visually looking at it. Oh boy, but yeah, I'm just going off on a tangent now. Kind of. I'm your boomer right here, right now, dude. I'm the boomer right now, telling you guys nostalgic and shit. Some old cringe, basically telling you cringe has existed for many years, my son. But yeah, honestly, when it came down to it, you know, it's just really wild with it. Pretty much just everything about it. Yeah, the early 2000s were just wild with it, man. It was a huge, crazy world back then. Speaking of crazy worlds, man, uh, the current state, the current state of this world. Um, yeah, I mean, growing up with making videos back then, and it's just like kind of watching it, growing up with it now. Speaking of stuff like that, that you know, watching them from when you were little and growing up and rewatching them again, seeing them all over again. Um, I want to talk a little bit about Shin Ultraman real quick. I've noticed that, and this is a pretty good thing actually. I'm noticing a lot of Godzilla fans are starting to understand why Ultraman is loved. You know, I ever since the film Shin Ultraman came out, I've been noticing a lot of you know, Godzilla fans kind of coming out saying like, "Oh, like this film is really good," and you know, seeing that is just really cool. It's really nice seeing that because um obviously like I had a feeling this film was gonna like get people to watch the original and just eventually the entire franchise. Cause you know, obviously the shows and the franchise itself, it's way more than just a giant like a giant alien hero, you know, fighting off monsters and invaders. It's just way more than that, you know. It has so much meaning to it. It has so much good messaging. It's just way more than that, you know. And I'm really just overall just happy to see that, you know, because you know obviously I grew up watching Ultraman. Not, I mean, obviously like not way back in the 1960s, but like obviously later on, like around 2008, 2010, I believe actually was when I got my first DVD of the Mill Creek Ultraman film. Um, well, no, it wasn't really films. It was just episodes. I meant. Uh, I mean, I guess in some ways I kind of thought of them as films. I guess it's just random. I guess, but yeah, honestly, like that was my first ever experience with Ultraman right there. And then obviously, me discovering the fact that Tokyo Monsters had a bunch of episodes of Ultraman here and there. They had a few clips. Seeing a bunch of those were just really interesting to see. Um, Another thing that was also pretty cool was is the fact that what you call it, Ultimate Kronos. I don't know if you guys probably don't even know who that person is, but he's a tour reviewer. He doesn't really do that tour reviewing stuff that much anymore. But I like to watch some of his videos occasionally here and there, just for nostalgic sake. But he pretty much kind of expanded my curiosity for Ultraman monsters and just Ultraman in general. So, obviously I was very much just invested with Ultraman. I would go as far as to say I was very much more invested to Ultraman than to Godzilla. But yeah, obviously I just kind of grew up with it, with Ultraman. And and a lot of people obviously have their list of like their favorite Ultraman shows and this and that. And like, obviously they are good shows, the picks that they would say. But half the time they don't really have Ultraman on the list. And yeah, I mean that's kind of what it is. But obviously it's just their opinion and this and that, obviously not everyone's gonna like the same show that you like. But I still am, and to this day, just very fond of the original 1966 Ultraman. Just for the fact of it's just the show itself and the characters are just very much memorable to me. And it really just really just left an impression on me, I guess, with like just the stories and how the monsters were and this and that. Like it really is just a great show all around. Um, but yeah, it really just it's still like it makes me happy, I guess, to see that a lot of Godzilla fans are starting to appreciate Ultraman more. Because even to this day, it's like Ultraman doesn't really get a lot of respect from the Godzilla community. Like it's pretty sad to see that, like, they're always trying to shit on us, the Ultraman fans, and this and that, trying to get a rise out of us, and it's just ridiculous. And that's the thing, back then, Godzilla fans just didn't really respect the concept of a giant humanoid hero, and it's kind of hypocritical to those individuals that hate on Ultraman even though they love Zone Fighter. Like, are you not are you telling me you don't see the similarities to it? Like, come on now. But honestly, when it comes down to it, though, like, just overall, I'm just happy to see that the Godzilla community is very much like recognizing the greatness of Ultraman and just overall how great the franchise is overall. Um, but yeah, honestly, when it comes down to it, it's pretty much what it is, man. Goji Fan 93 recently, well, not recently today, but like just kind of a few days ago, he released a video of his memories of the Godzilla community. Um, yeah, he pretty much was a really great content creator all around, I would say. Um, Goji Fan 93 was just someone that was very much relatable to me. Like, if you were to tell me, like, what defines a Godzilla fan, I would say Goji Fan 93 all the way. He he pretty much just was the face of the Godzilla community to me. Like, just straight up, he was the face of it. Like, there were so many other people that were just kind of doing videos just to make videos, but when Goji Fan 93 came along, I feel like his videos were just something else. Like, yeah, it pretty much just kind of blended in with like the usual stuff back then, but he gave so many other commentaries. Like, he didn't just talk about Godzilla figures, but like he talked about albums, CDs, and just other things relating to Godzilla, and he just kind of expanded on that. But yeah, Goji Fan 93 was, to me at least, to me, he was the definitive face of the Godzilla community. And even then though, like, looking back on some of his content, I really just loved his content all around, and I'm sure many of you guys do too. Um, but yeah, I mean, honestly, just looking back on them, like, they were just really fun to watch all around. Um, I very much loved the Earth Defense Force gameplays. The Goliath, I forgot what that one game is called. I think it was Goliath, or no, no, Colossal. I forgot what the game was called. He did gameplay of Colossal. Um, I forgot what the game is. I'll probably put up an image of it right here, actually, just so you guys can, like, know what I'm talking about. He did gameplay of that, and I very much enjoy his gameplays of that game. And yeah, I mean, just overall, like, his videos were just really fun to watch, and I very much enjoyed a lot of them. And but yeah, obviously, it was pretty upsetting to find out that Goji Fan 93 was pretty much moving to greener pastures. He was pretty much moving on. He very much didn't really. Well, I guess in some ways he kind of did. Just left the fandom all around, um, all together. But what you call it? He pretty much just kind of moved on from Godzilla. He sold all of his X Plus figures, his other figures, and just everything Godzilla related. Um, I don't know if he kept. I don't know if he kept other figures or something like that, but pretty much he just kind of, left that all behind. He pretty much moved on, um, and just did his own thing. And yeah, I mean, it's really crazy and really nostalgic seeing some of the stuff that he did in the past. I obviously posted the video on my community tab, so if you guys wanted to watch it, but yeah, I very much just loved his stuff a lot and stuff. And yeah, I would say when it came down to it, the moment he left, that is when the community kind of collapsed, in my opinion. Like, for some reason, like, back then, it was just all about uploading videos and just, that's it. Loving what you do and everything else. Unfortunately, now in the Godzilla community, in some channels, not trying to say that I guess I kind of did made it sound like it, but I'm not trying to say that everyone in the Godzilla community is like this. But nowadays, it's just a popularity contest. I feel like they're just trying to one up each other. They're trying to do something better than the other, and you know, I feel like as soon as Godzilla, the 2014 Godzilla film, I feel like that was the one that pretty much started it all. It pretty much branched out and got a lot of people just into the fandom. A lot of weirdos, a lot of annoying Fortnite kids or something. Like, the fandom itself is just kind of fucked. I'm being just straight honest right now. Like, obviously there are good people in the fandom, obviously, and I'm friends with a few of them. But you know, I find myself leaning more towards the Ultraman fandom as a whole. Like, I'm tired of just the Godzilla fans. Like, I still very much love Godzilla. Don't get me wrong, but the fans from specifically like the MonsterVerse and just like other Godzilla fans in general. They just really they ruin it for me. It's like there are some people out there that there's an individual out there actually that they would say like, oh, you're not allowed to have an opinion about Godzilla because you're not an adult, you're not 18 or up, so you can't have an opinion on this. That's the kind of level we're at. And when you speak out an opinion on a certain thing of Godzilla related, you get like shunned to the shadow realm. You get sent to the gulag, basically. Um, like they just go after you just for having an opinion about things. And it's really crazy, honestly, just having an opinion about Godzilla, like just anything related to Godzilla, like whether it's like the MonsterVerse or just the franchise itself. Like people just are just crazy, man. Like I don't know if you guys notice it or maybe you guys have experience with it, but man, I can never have a genuine conversation without them just getting angry or defensive about it. And then like it's like super crazy, man. And nowadays too, it's just gone so downhill to the point that there's even an individual out there that's mixing politics with Godzilla, and they're saying so much like things about it. It's so baffling to me. And I find like going back to what I said about like the Ultraman fandom. It's very chill and calm over there in terms when it comes down to it. Sure, there are those people like there that would say random shit, but when it comes down to it, we don't gatekeep. We don't really do anything like that. We don't try to start arguments here and there or try to shit on other people. Like it really is just how it is, honestly. Um I don't know, I just kind of what I'm trying to say is, man, like I'm kind of I find myself distancing myself from the Godzilla community as a whole. Like I still like don't get me wrong, I still very much love Godzilla. Godzilla is a thing that's part of my childhood. I grew up with Godzilla. Grew up with all these like, Jurassic Park, Gamera, Ultraman, Godzilla. Grew up with a bunch of stuff like that. So I'm never going to just stop liking Godzilla because of a fandom. But at the same time, with that type of parts of the fandom, I just don't want to associate with whatsoever. When it comes down to it, man, just the fandom itself is just. I mean, it is what it is. The fandom, it is what it is. And don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not trying to say to leave the fandom, obviously. Because again, like I said, there are some chill people in the fandom. There are those chill people. Um, but when it comes down to it, I mean, it's just an opinion of mine, I guess. But yeah, obviously, not trying to say that you guys should leave again. Like, if you guys love the fandom and want to stay in the fandom, that's fine. Obviously, like I'm not your dad, I'm not your mother, I'm not your relative or anything like that. I'm not over here trying to lecture you and telling you to leave a certain thing. But I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of speaking. Just yeah, I'm just speaking out my opinion on the fandom and how it is currently right now. But yeah, I think I might call it here. And in this podcast, we talked a lot of stuff here today. So yeah. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I'll be releasing a few highlight clips here and there. We'll probably see. Um, but yeah, hope you guys enjoy this podcast episode, and I'll see you guys in the next episode, whenever that will come out. So, yeah, sayonara.